Jesus, let me walk upon the water.
Walk on the what?
What? I just wanna trust you, Lord. Take my hand, Lord, take my hand. Let me walk upon the water. Can I ask something? Why do you always,
Jesus.
Exactly. Why do you always when you have the key, okanye, and you always want to go above me? Like,
okay, let's try again.
Can you just maintain your own key?
Okay, let's try again.
Thank you. 1, 2. Jesus, let me walk upon the water.
Well done.
I just wanna trust you, Lord. Take my hand. You see what I mean?
Lord,
Nasku, don't do that.
No, but it was level. It was level. Believe me, covenant.
Nasku, when I don't.
I got Kabela.
Jesus, let me walk upon the water. I just wanna trust you, Lord. Take my hand, Lord, take my hand. Let me walk upon the water.
Take my hand. Anyway.
Why do you have to be...
Okay, let's start.
Hi everybody, my name is Nozi.
Hey.
Jeez,
and
can
I'm
I finish?
Back.
This is why I can't have him on my channel.
Finally.
Guys. Like it has to always be my own channel. Please allow me that freedom. Hey guys, I am here with my husband's cool. Yeah, he's back. Anyway, so we're tackling yet another topic today. In every interview, babe, that we have in it, we always talk obviously about our journey, the fact how I disclosed to you that I'm HIV positive, and yeah, the work that we've had over the last couple of years. But in almost every interview that we've had, there's always a question about, our families, because we're married. Yes, our union is based on the two of us, but there are families involved. So it's always a case where, can we talk about, some of the reaction from our families, and the relationship that we have with our respective parents and the relationship that we have with our in-laws. So that is why our topic for today is HIV and family dynamics. What did our in-laws say, right? So I'm actually
in-laws from both families.
From both families. So your relationship with my mom and my relationship with your mom, right? So I'll start from my side. So I had already explained how I decided to disclose to my mom after I really felt strongly that God wanted me to use my story for the better good, to inspire people living with HIV, even if you're not living with HIV, finding some relevance with the story. But I did realize that the starting point will obviously have to be disclosing to my family. So I disclosed to my brother a couple of years before, and then I disclosed to my mom last year, right? And
it took her a while to disclose to mom.
Yes.
And that's for a specific reason, as far as I understand. Yes,
so I didn't feel like my mom will be able to handle, as I've said before, the whole stigma around HIV. I've told you about how Ma is like a very prominent member of the church. They hold it at a very high regard. So me disclosing that I'm now HIV positive, I felt like it will just compromise that, and also her, because she probably think, I'm sick, I'm gonna die in a couple of years, and all of those things. So, but eventually, I had, a conversation with you, and I had a conversation with myself. I prayed a lot, and but even when I had decided that I was going to disclose, I didn't do it on my own. So I had asked Ma, I told her that, listen, there's something that I want to tell you, but the words can come out of my mouth. So my brother stepped in and then eventually told my mom, right? And so she called me like an hour or two later on, and I guess it was shock. So she never called me and said, your brother just called me and told me this. She just started talking, rambling, about the fact that my brother did something, and now she was crying about that and all of those things, which didn't make any sense, but I knew why she was, crying and being emotional.
I still remember it had
something to do with medication.
No, it was the car.
And medication. Malatisi, like, he didn't buy me medication.
Oh, yeah.
Malatisi, like, it doesn't care about me. It didn't make any sense.
She's complaining about the car.
Yes. It didn't make any sense. So the reason why I'm starting there was because I was at home, when that was happening. You were still coming back from work. What was very interesting for me was you walked in while I was on the phone with Mama. I hadn't told you yet because I wanted to tell you when you arrived at home. So you came in and you looked at me and you saw that I was on the phone. I didn't even tell you that I was on the phone with Mama. I basically just looked at you. You looked at me. You rushed to me and you grabbed the phone and you started like talking to Mama like in another room, right? I want to know, what was the conversation?
So I walked in and there's this uncomfortable conversation between the two of them that I picked up. Okay. So that has to do with understanding the person that I married.
Yes.
And as well as also knowing Mama, or Fezi as we call her. So Fezi gave me an opportunity to be part of the family even before we got married. And she opened up to me, and I then became a third child, or her third child. So I could tell from Nozi's facial expression that the conversation that she's having is a very uncomfortable one. And my assumption was it had to do with the status, because it is something that we were talking about, I think 3 weeks prior to that conversation that you had with Fez. And so we didn't want Fezi to know about this on the radio or on the publication or newspaper. So we had said that let's have this conversation with Fezi so that she understands and she accepts it immediately. But the question on your side is, what went through my mind, or what conversation did I have with Ufez? She said a whole lot of these things but she was not going to the point as to, this is what is hitting me. I've heard about this, and it is what is hitting me. Told her that, Mama, as much as you are so worried and you blame yourself about what has transpired around Nozi, but I am not HIV positive. You are not HIV positive. The only person who's HIV positive here is Nozi. As much as we can support and we can know about this, truth of the matter is that she's been there alone. She's gone through all the stages that has to do with accepting this, and being denial, frustrations, and all of that. So the only thing we can do on our side is to support her and ask her to have conversations with us more often so that we can understand where she is. So it's now no time to blame ourselves for something that we were not there when she started experiencing it. We can only take it from here and say, our child is experiencing this. How is she? And how can we support? Does she require our support, and what type of support is that? And obviously you cannot ask me whether I need support, because the immediate response I'll give is that no. So you need to pick up around all these conversations that you can have with this person. I think from there, then she realized that there's more work that needs to be done from the mother's side in supporting both the kids, not only Yen. So that's the conversation that I had with her. So she did not have a specific concern. The only thing that she had that I could pick up, and I know we might disagree on this one, is that her not being able to be there from the word go when you were experiencing all these challenges. So that came out loud, even though she was not saying it, but it came out during our conversation that as much as she thinks she's done what any parent could do, she did not do enough to support you.
That I didn't trust her enough that I could go to her.
Exactly.
Okay. So what happened was, guys, right after like I disclosed, so you had a conversation with her, started getting better. It was okay, you know. By getting better, like I knew she knew, but it was not something that, you know, every phone call that we had, it was still a conversation like that would be, you know, picked up or whatever the case may be. But I think it was interesting when, so I disclosed to her around about September, right? And then November, it was the first time that we scheduled to go home. Because there was a funeral. My aunt, her sister had passed away, so we had to travel all the way to PE, right? So I remember we told her that we were coming, but we didn't tell her what time we were arriving, right? And then we called her in the morning and said, no, our flight was delayed, so we're gonna come later on. But we asked her where she was, and she said she was at the mall, right? And the plan was to surprise her at the mall. So we asked her like where she was, and she told us the mall that she was at and where she was specifically. And then we rushed over at the mall. This was what was interesting to me, and so when we walked right in, like where she was at the post office, because I think it was like towards month end. Yeah, it was during month end, so she went to get her pension money. So she was at the post office, and then the minute she saw us, and she rushed to Uskumbuzo, and then it was just her demeanor that threw me back. And not the fact that she rushed to Uskumbuzo, I was happy about that, it's fine. But then Umama, as I've said to you guys, is that Umama is not the affectionate type. And what I mean about that, you can ask my brother. Umama does not, what I mean about that, like she doesn't regularly say, I love you. Do you get what I mean? She does not say those things. But you see in her actions. Yes, you see in her actions, but she's...
But do you recall or do you remember that I've met Ufezi many a times in your absence?
Yes.
And when you don't know how we would greet each other.
But that's the thing, baby, is that that's what I'm trying to bring, is that the relationship that you have with Umama, which is what we're going to talk about, the dynamic between the relationship I have with Umama and the relationship that you have with Umama, right? So she rushed to you, and then she started hugging you, and then she started like playing with your cheeks.
You wanna touch my cheeks now?
Sorry.
I know they're big.
And then she started like playing with those Kumusa's cheeks, right? Like right in front of everyone. And I'm like,
she was brushing them. She was brushing them like...
Yeah, like brushing your cheeks. And I was like, I didn't understand where that came from. And now when we're having the conversation, I feel like, is that at first, Umama tried to overcompensate. That's how I feel. She tried to overcompensate, as if she feels like she has to please you at any cost. And even if you have to have a conversation with my brother, Umama is just literally not the affectionate type. Even to get her to hug you, I'm even surprised now she's very comfortable. After hugging you, she hugs me and all of those things. So I feel like she started overcompensating, which you don't agree. Why?
It was not the shock from my side for her to give me a hug and touch and play with my cheeks, because when we were meeting her on that day, so we had not seen her since we got married. So she was seeing me for the first time as their son-in-law. And obviously, as a parent, you would be pleased and proud and excited to see both your kids still standing and really enjoying
Married
what
life.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the first thing she says also, oh, you guys are fat. And I'm like, lady, she's like, no, it's a good thing. I don't want to see you guys thin.
Skinny.
And I'm like, can you please chill with your gaining of weight? Now my mom enjoys us fatter, right? The minute we say like we're going to the gym to lose weight, then the mood, the mood changes. She does not want that, right?
Why did you think that she was compensating? Is it because of something you had in mind? Therefore, your interpretation of her actions and your assumption was therefore she's overcompensating, because you could be that you are aware of something.
Okay, So let me tell you, I at that point in time, that's something that I thought, right? But you will remember, I think a visit after that, after the funeral, then we were driving back. We had drove down to PE. I can't remember for what, but we were driving back to Johannesburg. And now, like, my story had been public knowledge, like it was covered by some of the newspapers, and people kept on calling her. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember at this particular time, like one of a distant family member back in her hometown called her, and I think you had gone and met your friend or something. I can't remember. But you were not with us at that point in time. So she received a call, and I could hear her mood changing when she started saying, "No, it's just like any other illness, blah 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 blah." But her mood had changed, right? And then right after the call, she started saying, like that is so and so. She says she saw you on social media and on the newspaper talking about your story, and why did I do that? And then why did I go publicly about my story? And one of her main concerns were like, how do you feel about that? And then, like, why am I putting you out like that? Like, she's very concerned about Uzoti now. What are you going to say? And I'm like, Usko is like, her main concern was like you, and then, not in a bad way. I understand, like, and please also guys, don't take it the bad way. But Mama is more concerned about Usko than I am, but the nature of. Because I remember now, right after light conversation, I was like, "Usko is fine." She didn't believe me, and then we were driving back, and we left actually home. It was quite intense, And then she called me while we were driving back. I think we were about 5 hours away from Johannesburg, and then she called me. She wanted to find out how we were, like, how the drive was and all of those things. And then and I said, "No, it's fine," and that was it. So I called my brother and I said, "Did you ever talk with her?" And she says yes, and I was like, "What was going on?" She says no, she was more concerned about how are you feeling about this whole thing that I've gone public,
okay. I hear you
and
now.
also did I infect you, and
okay.
and also if I had infected you, and naturally she feels bad, and because if the tables were turned, right, as she doesn't think she would have been in a position where she would have accepted you. Now she can only be fair and think about how possibly you are feeling and how possibly your family is feeling about me. I appreciate your relationship, although sometimes I do feel like a third wheel, but I do appreciate your relationship. And sometimes, can I just say this? I appreciate the relationship that you have with her and all of that, but sometimes you drive me crazy when it's the both of you. Okay?
I got my melodies.
No.
This one does not listen.
No, wait, just hold on, school. When we go home, and Usku is like the youngest in the family. Like, he's the last born. I'm the last born. But he acts like the last born. I remember every time, like, we'll go home, Usku, all of a sudden, like, his hands don't work. Like, he's paralyzed. And then he can't do anything. He can't make himself porridge. He can't make himself tea. And then the first person who's always in the firing line is always me. But Nozi, you don't take care of Umdana Bantu. You don't take care
That's the only
of someone's child.
I get to
and I'm like, excuse me?
I get an opportunity to be a child.
Not at my expense.
Hey, but by the time I leave, my stomach is full because
No, honestly, and sometimes like if I don't want to do like making tea or making porridge, then she'll start doing that for school, and I'm like, no. School is more than capable of doing his own things. Like, he can make himself some tea and he can make himself some porridge. That's the only thing that makes me crazy about your relationship. So now that we've talked about like my side, I know we chose a different strategy, when it comes to your family, right? I remember during like my lobola negotiations, right? For people that are listening from overseas, the lobola negotiations are basically money or a gift that is given, by the groom to the bride's family, basically to thank them, to acknowledge them for raising, his bride, right? So culturally, schools uncles have to come to my house. There are negotiations that need to happen to officially now hand me over. So that's why in most, like, traditionally, there's no bending down on one knee and asking a person to marry you. That whole process is basically a proposal. Do you get what I mean? That is how it's the family that asks your hand in marriage from your family, right? So I mean, there was never status it's something that never came up, all right? But okay, from your family, now that your daughter is HIV positive, -5 cows. So why did you choose a different approach in terms of there were no formal gatherings, there was no formal meeting, a family meeting to tell them, oh, okay, by the way, the person I'm going to marry is HIV positive?
Okay, so maybe how I'm going to respond is going to sound a bit arrogant, and I apologize up front about that. But I felt that is my responsibility in knowing who knows and what is going on with Nozi. I had to take ownership of that. So basically, it had nothing to do with them.
Okay.
So that's how I felt, and my apologies for not being considerate. This may sound arrogant. But secondly, it had to do with understanding my family. We're not taught like that to discriminate people based on where they come from, what they have, who they are, how they look like. So we were taught to embrace people. At home, there were always people, people living with us that were not even related at home. So we were taught to understand, accept people, and love them. So from who they are. So I felt that if I then bring this up, the question that would come up is, so what? So I wasn't ready to embarrass myself about that for something that is not, I'd say, an issue at all. And even about them knowing about your status is still not an issue.
Yeah, even today.
It's still not an issue.
Because obviously,
because they know that I'm comfortable, I'm happy. With them, what matters is about
your happiness.
The happiness of their children. Now Asake as well into this.
I think that's a most important thing, and that's what I have observed as well. Because obviously our families follow us on social media. They follow a lot of what we do. Very much they are aware of what is going on. I mean, my brother-in-law and two of my sister-in-laws are just bought 5 books each, right? And they're going to gift their friends. So they've been very, very supportive. So when I'm asked this question all the time, I always say, from my own experience, is that if your partner, moreover, the onus is in your partner and how they feel, right? If there's a tiny bit of doubt or shakiness, and like anything, even it might not even be about HIV when at school. It may be even about something else. I've experienced that when it comes to my brother, right? When we sense there's some shakiness about something that he's not sure about, but my sister-in-law is very sure about, then we are also not sure about, because he's not sure about. So I think that is what has helped, your very firm grounding and your very firm stand in the issue.
Without any doubt, it's from not from a man's point of view. I think it was important for me that I protect the person that I have in my life. It was important that I protect myself as well, and I stand my ground in terms of the decision that I've taken and the decision that I'm going for. So that was key. And because so normally people would say that the driver of the bus is the one who knows the impact of the speed humps that he's going to get into when he's driving the bus. but the impact of that is going to be felt by the passengers.
Yeah.
So it's important that as a driver, you then protect the passengers that you have. So in this case, my wife being the passenger and I as the driver. So it was important that I protect her and I protect my house.
So when it comes to disclosure, guys, and this is what we advise when you're talking to couples, about should I disclose to my family? Should I disclose to my in-laws? I think the perception about the disclosure is that since Tina, since we have decided that we want to disclose in this manner publicly and use our story, for to inspire others to publicly live this life, it's sometimes seen as if now everyone else is going to follow that route. That was never the intention, right? When you're disclosing to family or whatever the case may be, we're not saying you're going to call a very formal meeting, or you're going to stand on top of a hill or on top of the house and declare, hey, I'm HIV positive. No, that's not the case, guys. And I'm very grateful that when it comes to School's family, he led me in terms of that, and it has really worked out for us. His family is supportive, my in-laws are very supportive. As I said, my sisters-in-law and my brothers-in-law just bought 5 books each to also share with their friends. I remember when we had the speaking engagement recently, a few months ago, my sister-in-law surprised us. We didn't even know.
Just saw her there.
Yeah, we didn't even know that she was going to be there. While we were talking, we're like, that person looks familiar. And then it was her, we went to minister about our story at a church, at a couple's ministry. So I'm really, really grateful. But I do realize that, baby, that we're quite blessed. Other people might call us lucky, because sometimes it does not go that way.
Yeah, well, I think the most important thing is that, we can talk about all these things. The most important thing and that's key for me is that you disclosed to yourself first. So when you told me, so I also had to, understand what this means to me, and also disclose to myself that Nozi is like that, this. So when that happened, then I was then able to understand myself better as a human being, and also, again, continue loving her the way I used to, and that she then indirectly felt that, and then we were able to move on. So whoever then comes and I tell about this, so if they see that you are strong as the person who's taking ownership of this, there wouldn't be any problem. I always say that it's not only about HIV, but some people are faced with different situations in their marriages or in their relationships, and that's their HIV.
One thing I'm really grateful about my mom-in-law is having to see, because obviously she's in Lusikisiki, so it's not natural for us to to drive down to Lusikisiki and see her often. But the one thing I could never benefit or enjoy the things that I'm enjoying when I'm with you and the person that you are, without giving credit to her. She really, really raised a fine she really raised a very grounded and a beautiful person inside out. I'm really, really thankful for that, and I could probably never thank her enough. As we sometimes underestimate it, but for the fact that people often come to us and ask for advice in terms of, I'm scared of dating because I'm scared of rejection. How did you get this right with the school, or what advice can the school give us? What mindset did a person needs to really get over the stigma of HIV? And that couldn't have been possible without her. So that's what I really, really appreciate about my mom-in-law. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see each other once again when we're covering yet another topic. Thank you.